Welcome to the Sports Bros Podcast, featuring the Almighty B-Live, the Money Man, Scottie D, and your host, the head of creative, Eddy Kool. And without any further ado, here they are, the Sports Bros.
Hey, what's going on, world? This be your boy, Eddy Kool, a.k.a. the HOC. And guess what? It is episode number 60 of the Sports Bros Podcast. Not too far away from 100, but we're going to get there when we get there. I'm excited for another episode of the Sports Bros Podcast. 60 of them things in the book. But of course, you know I don't do this by myself. I can't take all the credit. Somewhat, but not all of it. I got two of the best co-hosts in the world. The Almighty B-Live.
What's happening? What's going on in the world today? Man, oh man, I'm excited about this episode. I'm excited to be back with my bros. So the credit that Eddy Kool doesn't take, I'll take the rest of it because it's really, that's what we do. And then, there's this other guy that might talk a couple things, and he'll mention something about CeeDee Lamb and something about him getting drafted to some team.
How about them Cowboys?
CeeDee's nuts. I had to say it. I was like, you can edit that later. I don't know, whatever. But yeah, your boy is here. Let's get it.
It's a D's nuts joke. Come on, now you don't edit these jokes.
Nice.
And our other co-host, CeeDee Lamb's biggest fan, the president of the CeeDee Lamb fan club, who has yet to play professional down football, the Money Man, Scottie D.
The voice of reason is here. Let's talk some sports, guys. The voice of reason is here. We are one day closer to no sports still. So let's get on with it. Let's talk about what we can talk about here. Scrounge together another show of sports, wall-to-wall sports. Let's do it.
Yep.
Disclaimer notice. If Scottie D, the Money Man, is the voice of reason after claiming that the Cowboys will go 16-0, we are in real trouble as a podcast. Just throwing that out there. If that's the voice of reason, yeah, we're in trouble. But
by the way, JR had a little bone to pick with me over my prediction, but I'm feeling pretty good about that. So if I'm right, that means they will have beaten the Eagles twice over that time period. And I know that JR is not counting on that happening, but I just really have a hard time seeing the Cowboys losing the game next year. So anyway, that's a future topic.
All right.
Speaking of the Cowboys schedule, I saw an interesting statistic the other day about the upcoming season. Scottie D, y'all got to play against all of the birds in the NFL. You got to play the Eagles twice, the Falcons, the Ravens, I think the Seahawks,
Cardinals, yeah.
and the Cardinals. So yeah, you got to get through the gauntlet of the birds.
Interesting. I did not know that.
Yeah, and I saw that and I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. I've never seen like that happen to where one team got to play, a bunch of birds. But we'll cross that bridge when we get to it and do the flyover, and Scottie D might get a little cardinal poop on his shoulder. But I digress as I go ahead and put the train back on the track. Not the track on the train.
Nice.
Shout out to Amtrak. Cut the check. I need it now. All right, fellas. So here we go. Last Dance episodes 9 and 10. The finale of an otherwise awesome piece of quarantine television. This wraps up everything. This is the culmination of the last year as the Chicago Bulls work together as a team to win their third straight championship, their second three-peat, if you will. Fellas, I will say this. I did enjoy this entire season. There was not one episode where I was like, I don't know. The episode gave us a lot of backstories, entertainment, and memes galore. Think about it. A generation will not know Michael Jordan as a basketball player, but they will know him as the king of all memes. Everything except for baseball that Michael Jordan touches is good, minus baseball. But I digress. So, what you fellas think about episodes 9 and 10 of The Last Dance?
I was impressed by the way they definitely featured Steve Kerr. Like I knew none of that. Like about his dad. I mean, and his dad and his mom. His mom spoke on the documentary and everything about his dad and being in Beirut. I do believe, was it Beirut? And or was it American University of Beirut or something like that? And just the stories, the uprisings there, and just being uneasy as an American over in that country, and everything that he went through, and the tragedy that came with that and everything. I was like, wow. And so the way that him and Steve Kerr were able to connect, and it also the fact that Steve Kerr stood up to Michael Jordan, and like that, like how that solidified their relationship and everything. That was definitely a piece that I learned a great deal from. So that's definitely my takeaway of all of that real big time, was the fact that, again, like you alluded to and definitely said that everything except for baseball that we mentioned, everything that Michael Jordan touches is gold, and the fact that just the development of Steve Kerr throughout it all, and that was definitely a bonus for me.
What you think, Scottie D?
Yeah, to recap the whole thing overall, I thought it was really, really well done. It was so interesting because you were getting Michael Jordan speaking not as a guy being interviewed, but as a guy just in conversation. And I bet you for him, it was somewhat therapeutic to get a lot of that stuff off his chest, especially when he got towards the end there, when he said he had never heard the story of Jerry Reinsdorf, of why he didn't want to bring the Bulls back together. And I thought that was very interesting how, you know, it sounded like Michael had it in him to go do it at least one more time. He said, we're in rare air here, like with the Celtics, you know, with their huge championship run, and we're up to 6, and we have a chance here to go for 7. But it didn't sound like Michael had ever really asserted himself. He was saying this could have happened, but I don't think it. He knew that Reinsdorf kind of threw a Hail Mary towards the end. It almost sounded like, because if you remember in the very first episode, it said the general manager, Jerry Krause, said it didn't matter if they're 82-0, they're not going to bring back Phil Jackson. He's going to be gone regardless. And Michael said, I'm not playing for anybody but Phil Jackson. So I guess it went without saying that if Phil wasn't coming back, neither was Michael. And then Reinsdorf, he says, I threw a Hail Mary basically to Phil and said, if you want to come back, forget about what Krause said. And I think at that point, Phil had just had the mindset that he had had enough and was ready to go. Michael never, it didn't sound like ever like tried to get together with the guys and discuss, let's do this again. He said he thought that, this could happen, this could happen, this could happen. The one thing that I'm not certain of, though, is he said, I'm sure we would have had to talk to Scotty, but I'm sure he would have wanted to come back. But I'm not so certain of that, because Pippen really was carrying that chip on his shoulder about not getting more money, not being paid like he deserved to be paid in the grand scheme of things. So I think he would have been a hard sell to come back. They would have had to throw the bank at him and had, gone with a long-term deal, a real big deal. And they were not willing to do that at that point, especially if they knew Michael was going to be gone in another year. They weren't going to commit all that to Scotty, not Krause anyway. So I thought it was interesting that Jordan still felt like they left a little bit more on the table. And guys, if you remember, the next year after that was a short season. It was a labor lockout, and it was the 8-seeded Knicks went to the finals against the Spurs. Neither of those teams were legendary. So it is entirely possible that the Bulls could have won that 7th one. They could have gotten that 4th in a row, which would have been, obviously already historic, but to have them win 7 out of 9 years would have been something else, man. But
yeah, that definitely. I'm sorry. Go ahead,
I just thought it was kind of interesting that Jordan is still bothered by that all these years later, that he didn't have the opportunity to do that.
Yeah, that definitely would have been great to see them, go for number 7. You know what I'm saying? Because that would have been, that would have been a four-peat. That hasn't been done since those Celtics did it way back in the day. So that definitely definitely, damn sure would have been very interesting to see because, like you said, you had a lockout season and it was a short season. I remember hearing one part of the episode, Jordan was like, you know what? We all probably would have signed, if we had a chance for one more year, we'd always sign 1-year deals and we'd come back. But as you said, Scottie D, I think Scottie Pippen would have been the hard sell because he would have been like, look, I've been here during both of Jordan's runs and even a brief period of time when he retired. So from a loyalty standpoint, I think they could have did Scottie right. But, hindsight is 2020, things didn't happen. And so after winning, the 6th championship, you want to go ahead and split up the team.
What I don't understand, though, at no point, it sounded like Reinsdorf was completely sold on Jerry Krause as the GM, but why would you not choose that incredible historic team over him? You know what I mean? I mean, why wouldn't you say, Jerry, Phil's coming back next year. I'm owning this, and look at the money that's being raked in. How would you like to have been a season ticket holder of the Bulls in the 90s, and then after that three-peat, come back the next year? Holy cow, what a depressing place that arena must have been when there's no Michael, no Scotty, no Rodman, no Phil Jackson. I think they traded Kerr. I mean, that had to have sucked to have gone to the arena to watch that next version of the Bulls after that, huh?
Yeah, it would have been. And then, like, Steve Kerr won, like, he got traded to San Antonio and won a 4th championship.
So did Steve Kerr four-peat?
Yep, sure did.
So I forgot about that, and I was a little bamboozled when Scott said that the Spurs nor the Knicks were legendary. I'm a little baffled by that because I think the Spurs won their first of 5 championships.
Yeah, but that was pre-Duncan. That was, that wasn't the best of all the Spurs teams. That's not when you think about that loaded up team, you think of Duncan and Ginobili and Tony Parker, and this wasn't quite that assembly of talent just yet. No doubt they were good. That was Sean Elliott, I think, Avery Johnson, David Robinson, and they beat the Knicks, and I think Latrell Sprewell led the Knicks as an 8th seed into the finals, and Patrick Ewing got hurt and didn't play in the finals. My point is, it just wasn't like the Rockets with Olajuwon winning. It wasn't, a LeBron, D-Wade, Bosh kind of team. It was just a good team. I'm just saying they were a very beatable team in my opinion. That was a winnable 7th championship.
The Spurs have always been a good team with like no superstars. So they've been the consummate team. That's why I hate them, but I enjoy them at the same time because they didn't have that. They never had that star power. They just really were just they were like a well-oiled machine. Tim Duncan was on that team in '99. I think he might have been a rookie that year, but that was the year of the Twin Towers.
Okay.
Of Tim Duncan and David Robinson.
Okay, I didn't think Duncan had been there yet, but yeah, okay, he must have been a rookie. Yeah, that makes sense. If I think his last year at Wake, he was already out. I know he played 4 years for Wake Forest.
Rare. Yeah, he played all 4 years. Yep. And I'm over here looking at some of the statistics for the following season. Let's see. The Bulls, they went 13-37.
Ouch. Yeah. Good God. Ouch.
Yeah. They went 13-37, and
who was on that roster? Because you mentioned Steve Kerr was gone.
Kukoc was still there. I think he stayed.
Because Pippen wasn't on that team anymore either, right?
No.
They literally
they lost.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Okay, so here we go. Brent Barry, Corey Benjamin, Mario Bennett, Keith Booth, Randy Brown, Mark Bryant, Corey Carr, David Kamel, Ron Harper, Charles Jones, Tony Kukoc, Andrew Lang, Jeff Sanders, Dickie Simpkins, and Bill Winnington. Woo. So you had Winnington, Simpkins, Kukoc,
Ron Harper.
Ron Harper.
Yeah, that was about
and Randy Brown.
Yeah, but I heard 2.5 names I recognize. Bill Winnington's the half. I was like, Ron Harper, yeah, and wow, just the complete difference of a team. That's even worse than freaking Golden State between last year and this year right now, because without Clay, without Steph Curry and Kevin Durant's on with the Nets, but Jesus, talk about a decimation of a team. That's crazy to me.
Yep. Now, also, I went back to look at the standings here. Yeah, the year before, the year they won the last championship, they were 62-20. And had the Pacers nipping at their heels in the Central Division. So the Eastern Conference playoffs that year, in the last year, the three-peat was the Bulls, number 1 seed Bulls, number 2 seed Heat, 3 seed Indiana Pacers, 4 seed the Hornets, 5th the Hawks, 6th the Cavaliers, 7 the Knicks, and 8th the Nets. Now, think about that. We went from a 62-20 Bulls representing the Eastern Conference and winning it all to the Knicks, who were a 7th seed the year before, who got in at an 8th seed the following year, strike short or not, and made the freaking finals.
And so, you were speaking about the Pacers that were the number 3 seed. There was a really good piece about the Pacers and how dangerous they were as a team, and Reggie Miller doing his thing, and I like that part too. I really like the part that Michael Jordan's looking at the tablet about Reggie Miller talking about him and everything, and he's laughing, and that just the way they pieced that whole thing together is I enjoyed every bit of it.
Really, I did. I really enjoyed the whole thing too. Yes, they also had his kids there, and I'm looking at an article here where you did see a single appearance by none of his wives, none whatsoever, including his ex-wife Juanita and his current wife as well too. Then come to find out that the flu game was a result of some bad pizza,
food poisoning.
Yeah, food poisoning. Yeah.
That's crazy
that but they said it was 5 guys showed up to deliver the pizza, all trying to catch a glimpse of Jordan. But his personal trainer said he had a bad feeling about that from the get-go. So, wonder if they may have messed with his food a little bit. Just gotta wonder.
Oh, they had to. They had to. Like how? Like I mean, think about it. We go in a Michael Jordan room. It's kind of like how many people does it take to change a doorknob, which I had to do this weekend, and it took 3 of us, 1 to hold a light, 1 to hold a drill, and the other test if the door locked, but I digress. Yeah, you got 5 dudes deliver. What is this? 5 guys pizza in Utah? Right. Like what kind of monkey what kind of monkey and horse show is this, Utah? You got 5 guys running a pizza. So yeah, come to find out that the tainted pizza was a result of Michael Jordan's flu game, and he went on to score 38 points, 7 rebounds, and 5 assists, and gets a.
You know what made me think in that, because that was the first of the 2 championships against Utah. And the second one in the very final game, and I had forgotten this, that Pippen was laboring through that game with a bad back. He could barely pull himself up and down the floor. And you just have to wonder if Pippen was digging deep because he remembered, Michael going through utter hell and the previous year. He was carrying Michael off the floor practically. You just have to wonder if Pippen was driven by the fact that I can't let Michael down more than anything else. And he saw him kept going to the locker room and coming back, and locker room and coming back, just trying to get. They said we're trying to give him 5 minutes of treatment, to give him 5 minutes on the floor. They really were doing everything, the training staff, everything they could to get Scotty back out there. And just his presence on the floor was uplifting to Michael. I had forgotten about that, and I don't think Scottie Pippen gets enough credit for that performance because he did make an impact on that game.
True. Oh, I found the kids' names. The cameos that we get are his 3 children, Jeffrey, Marcus, and Jasmine. Yeah, Jeffrey, Marcus, and Jasmine. They also talk about their father too. This was very interesting, man. And, I was sitting there the whole time. I was like, okay, so we just gonna talk about them. So we just gonna talk about this and not talking about Rodman going to WCW. And then what do you know? Look what pops up. I said, save the best for last. I think I read somewhere where if I'm, it was a meme, but I think I read it somewhere. When Rodman skipped out for that media day and didn't show up, he got a $25,000 fine. But when he popped up on Nitro, he got paid $250,000. And Ron Harper was like, if you think about it, he's a smart businessman.
Yeah. And that's I find that so crazy that he literally is like, and can you imagine Vince McMahon he's like, hey, Rodman, I'm gonna pay you this. And Rodman's like, man, I got practice tomorrow. He's like, man, I'm gonna pay you $250,000 practice. Yeah, I'll be there. And that's, what I'm saying. Can you imagine that?
That actually set up a pay-per-view after the season was over that him and Karl Malone faced off against each other. It was a tag match with Diamond Dallas Page and Karl Malone against Hulk Hogan and Dennis Rodman. So that was actually kind of laying the groundwork right there that night for more business for him whenever the season concluded. So it was smart.
Yeah. And again, like we've been saying about the whole series, the whole season, and everything about The Last Dance, just all these backstories that we just didn't know. Like we remember bits and pieces, but just the way it was woven together, all the backstories, it was incredible.
Was very incredible. I'm gonna really miss watching it on Sundays going forward because that really has held my attention for the past month.
Oh yeah, because it was supposed to be released this summer, right?
Around the time of the NBA Finals. So, yeah, I'm sad that this thing's gonna end.
Well, guess what? If you got the ESPN app, you can watch it all over again. Shout out to your boy Eddy Kool for go ahead and I got a little thing called Roku. Hey, look, Roku. I've slept on Roku. I feel stupid for sleeping on Roku. Don't know why I did it, but I freaking did it. I have slept on Roku's best thing since sliced bread, and I can watch everything I want to, including The Last Dance. Great episode. As I told plenty of people, I'm like, look, just go ahead and give them the damn Emmy now.
Yep, absolutely.
Get it over with.
This is award-winning without question.
And if it doesn't win an award, I'm not gonna say I'm fighting somebody, but I'm gonna be mad. I'm gonna be hot.
Yeah, I'm fine. I'll fight somebody over that.
Okay,
I'll fight somebody. You know what I'm saying? We can go toe to toe. We can lace up the gloves. I'm not fighting Mike Tyson, but I mean or Vander Holyfield. But I digress again. Plug, but but yeah. It needs to win a lot of awards. It needs to.
Yep, all kinds of awards. And speaking of fighting, let's go ahead and roll right into UFC Fight Night this past Saturday in Jacksonville, Florida. Once again, fighting in front of nobody unless you had ESPN Plus and you was at the house watching the fight. So I'm going to go ahead and be honest. I was in the state of South Carolina on vacation. Oh, yeah, shout out to Rodney Bellamy. I actually met Rodney Bellamy. He's a listener of the podcast. Real cool dude. He called me a big MF, but it's all good. It's all love. Thank you, Rodney, for your support, and we greatly appreciate it. A great deal. So, Scottie D, you watch fights, right?
I've been watching fights all week.
He's been watching fights all week. He's been watching the neighbors fight. He's been watching the fake fights on TV, and he finally got to see a real fight, UFC Fight Night, which is headlined by Overeem versus Walt Harris. Scottie D, what are your takeaways from this call?
If you guys remember, I actually did a pepper point on Walt Harris back in December, whenever when this story happened, where his daughter went missing, and it was technically his stepdaughter, but she went missing, and they found her body a month or so later. So this guy was on my mind back then. And to see his story all week on ESPN, they really pushed the story because it was kind of a feel-good story that he was going to be able to main event a UFC event, considering all that he and his family had gone through. And I think the whole country that was the UFC country, I say the UFC fans, anybody that was watching was going to be pulling for this guy. Unfortunately, he was taking on Alistair Overeem, who's one of the best of all time in the heavyweight division. And Walt Harris, I tell you, I don't know if you guys saw this, but he almost pulled it off early. He had Overeem on his butt. He had him shaken up. He had him cut open. And this is what happens when you have a really inexperienced fighter going up against a legendary fighter, because he couldn't finish the job, and Overeem finished him in the second round. And, you know, I hated rooting against Alistair Overeem. I've never been a big fan of his, but he never does anything but acts cool to other people. And he was very cool to Walt Harris afterwards and very gracious. And, you know, he hated rooting against him. But this is just a case of a superior fighter winning. Having said that, I hope Walt Harris really can pull this together, because he came off as such a likable guy, and it was such a good story to see him making his comeback after such an incredibly sad story. So that one didn't quite go our way. Earlier in the week, there was also another UFC event on Wednesday night, and that was Anthony Smith against Glover Teixeira in the light heavyweight division. And Anthony Smith was a favorite coming in. And I tell you what, this if you watch this, you're listening to Daniel Cormier announce this fight, you realize how brilliant a mind Daniel Cormier is when it comes to fighting. He picked up very early as an announcer on this, but in the first and second round, in this quiet arena, because there's no fans in the stands, Cormier's talking about how Anthony Smith's corner is instructing him and yelling, more volume, more volume. And he said, his corner is going to wear him out. He said, listen to Glover Teixeira's corner. They're not saying anything. They're trusting their fighter. Well, after 2 rounds, Anthony Smith had nothing left. And it shouldn't have even gone into the 5th round. It should have been stopped. His corner should never have let him go out for the 4th round. The guy just absolutely got destroyed, to the point that it could be one of those career-altering beatdowns. I mean, some fighters are never the same when they get taken down like that. The referee should have done something. And I just have to wonder, you know, last week we talked about Tony Ferguson getting destroyed and how they let that one go on too long. I'm just wondering if the referees are, you know, worrying about what other people are saying, and, you know, premature stoppages and that kind of stuff. But definitely Anthony Smith took a beat down from Glover Teixeira, who at 40 is back in the title picture. He may get another crack at John Jones down the line. But it was great seeing some live fights this past week. The UFC successfully pulled off 3 events in Jacksonville, Saturday, Wednesday, and Saturday. And honestly, as a sports fan, it was just nice to watch live events again. But that was my take on a couple of the bigger fights that took place during the week.
So check this out. Look, interesting. Another interesting stat I picked up. Alistair Overeem has a win. Like, you know how wins are very, very tough to come by in the world of mixed martial arts. So let me run this by you. He had his first professional win in 1999. So think about it. He got a win in the 90s, the 2000s, the 20 teens, and now he got a win
4 decades
in 2020.
Very impressive.
Yeah, that is very impressive, especially in a hard-hitting sport of UFC and mixed martial arts. I mean, because some guys, you know, they get a handful of wins
and
they get the hell on.
He's never been a UFC champion. He's fought in multiple organizations, so his career goes back, you know, to 99, fighting in different types of, you know, it wasn't always UFC. He was with other organizations and kickboxing, I think, at one point maybe. But he's never been a UFC champion. So that's interesting for a guy who is going to be a Hall of Famer for sure, to never have had gold.
Yep, he is. Let me see. His kickboxing record says he's 10-7, but in MMA he's 46-18.
That's a lot of fights.
That's impressive.
That's a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, that is a lot of fights. B-Live, did you see the fight at all?
I did not. I was too busy serving a lot of burgers and brisket at Max Speed Shop here in Fayetteville, North Carolina. I'm not gonna do the plug right now. But
hey, that's okay. We'll just edit this whole part out. That's all. Don't worry about it.
Oh man, but yeah, I didn't get a chance to watch it, but Scottie D, I definitely appreciate the in-depth analysis. As always, a pleasure to. Wait a minute. Hold on. Did I just give him props?
Let's move on.
You sound like you almost threw up in your mouth.
Take the compliment. Let's go.
That's what it sounds like.
Let's go.
You sound like you almost threw up in your mouth. All right, let's see what else we got going on in the world of UFC. I think we have another event coming up, if I'm not mistaken. The next event will be Saturday, June the 6th. And it is headlined by Felicia Spencer and Amanda Nunes for the featherweight title. Pretty stacked card. Yeah, shout out for UFC for giving us some live sports to view, watch, and check out. Because, fellas, I feel like we're getting closer and closer and closer to having live sports, meaningful sports, once again. Because there was only so many times I can watch Game 7 of the 1995 NBA Finals or Game 6 of the 2008 Finals. So that is it for the UFC wrap-up. And it's that time once again, y'all. Hey, yo, button. Hit it.
And now, our favorite part of the show, the choices of the voices.
Once again, thank you to the wonderful and lovely Miss Button for introducing our favorite segment of the show. Hey, look, 60-plus episodes in, you know the woman's a true speaker. What she says is how it is. She says it and she means it. She ain't lying. It's our favorite part of the show, the choices of the voices section, where we ask you the questions. You give us an answer, and then we talk about it. So, Scottie D, what's the question for this week's choices of the voices?
All right, I gave you a multiple choice question this week in regards to 2020. This year, who of these four athletes is the most interesting to you? Conor McGregor, Tom Brady, LeBron James, or Tiger Woods?
Yep, that's an interesting, I would say, what's not trio, but it's an interesting group of guys. I can't count what the hell's going on with, but yeah, 4 different personalities, 4 different sports. Very interesting to see what beholds them of 2020. All right, leading off, we got Martin Tracy, who writes a paragraph, but I love it. Tom Brady, love him or hate him. He says it will be interesting to see what he does with without the Pat's flair, and he's one of the most compelling athletes, kind of like Roger Clemens, Carlton Fisk, Ray Bork, Paul Pierce. For that, I followed so many great moments and memories that I'm still going to have to root for them. And I got no feelings against the Bucks. So, yeah, it will be just getting used to seeing him in new gear, kind of like when Roger pitched for the Yankees. I would wear a New York cap. I know, crazy, huh? But that's how far my love for him went. My love runs for Brady so deep, I will sport a TB12 Tampa Bay jersey every Sunday. If you're going to wear the jersey, just wear this new jersey. Don't wear that LED garbage. Just good God, that instant throw up. Just don't wear that jersey. So, yeah, Matty Ice, he said Tom Brady. Move right along. Leonard Cunningham, he said Brady, this is just a bonus round to his legacy. It's already set. He said LeBron's 2, though I hope they would win it one more time and won't change who they are. Conor, to me, is just an entertainer. Woods, to me, is the most interesting to see how much more he can win. He has the most room to improve or change his legacy. Okay, so he kind of gave us an opinion of all 4 of what he thought.
A multi-tiered answer, if you will.
Yes.
Leonard, we appreciate that. We really appreciate that. All right, Rodney O'Neal Bellamy. What's happening, Rodney? Met you the other Saturday in South Carolina, man. Cool dude. Real fun. Thank you for supporting the show. Thank you for listening and participating in Choice of the Voices. He said it's Brady. If he wins in Tampa Bay, he concretes himself as the GOAT in everyone's book. In other news, Bring on the Jarrett Stidham era in Foxborough. Woohoo! And he said this as a Dolphins fan. So they're probably going to terrorize the brakes off of Jarrett Stidham. So he says, yeah. So he said Brady is going to have the most interesting year. Melanie Klish, she says, probably Tiger Woods. What drama will plague him this year? I don't know, man. He's been laying low, so he hasn't been really doing much. He's been chilling. Uncle Max, speaking of GOATs, the greatest of all time, Uncle Max, he said, I think Tiger Woods, with winning 4 more majors, he surpasses Jack Nicklaus as the sport's all-time major wins record holder, which would leave no doubt that Tiger will be the greatest golfer in sports history to date. Okay.
I like it. Good.
I like that too. And Tony Bella, what's going on, Tony? He said, I'm going to have to go with Tom Brady just because of the current team he's on. We get to see that if it was Bill or Tom that made the New England Patriots the powerhouse team it was. Tom has some nasty weapons at his disposal, and I'm curious to see if Tampa will be all potential but no payoff, a.k.a. the 2019 Cleveland Browns of the 2020 season. Hey, Tony, that was a good one. I like that one. So Tony said Tom Brady, and he's wondering if the Buccaneers will live up to the hype that the Browns did this past season. We know the Browns did it, but Tampa Bay, let's see. Let's see what they should do. And, that's it for the choices of the voices. Shout out to Martin, Leonard, Rodney, Melanie, Uncle Max, and Tony Bella for their participation in this week's versus the choices of the voices. Be live. Out of the 4, who did you select?
Well, I'm going to follow suit with my man, Leonard. One of the realest dudes here in Fayetteville. Leonard, very good friend of mine. I'm going to do a little tier myself. Tom Brady, check this out. Don't care. All right. I really don't. Like, what Tony was saying about if it's Tom or Bill, that this won't be that answer. Like, right now, if Tom Brady doesn't win the Super Bowl, everybody's going to say, oh, it was Bill Belichick. Again, I'm going to say this. With the talent that Tampa Bay has, it's not going to be they're one of the favorites, but I still don't think they'll get it done. Bill can't get it done with Jarrett Stidham. No. As long as you've got Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson and Deshaun Watson in that conference, there's no way. It's not happening. I'm sorry. So just whatever's whatever. Bill still has a few more years just because, coaching lasts longer than professional athletes. Tom Brady might have, that avocado ice cream, I don't know, he might do it another 5 years. Who never knows? But again, Tom Brady, cut it out. Get out of here. Conor McGregor, I completely 100% agree with Leonard where he says he's just an entertainer. It's intriguing because he also wants to get back in the MMA, the UFC ring, and fight a major fight. But he's also on the sidelines talking trash with Oscar De La Hoya in a boxing match. I don't know. So not so much. When it comes to, man, Lord, I just lost my place.
LeBron.
LeBum James. No, here's the thing. It is very unfortunate for LeBron James where he is in his career. The debate will always be there. Old school guys like myself, Michael Jordan, young guys, they're more LeBron James right now, who is the GOAT. LeBron can't do anything else really to solidify that with anybody. It's going to be swayed regardless to what he does for the rest of his career. He could win another championship in LA, but people are going to say, oh, he did it with the second best player in all of basketball with Anthony Davis, maybe the third. You throw Giannis up there, but Anthony Davis absolutely is no slouch. So it's one of those things. If he does win one, people are still going to be swayed. It's not going to – that argument is always going to be there. There's no convincing anybody otherwise. My answer, goes along with a lot of others. Tiger Woods. Tiger Woods by far is the most compelling because if you really, really looked at the sport of golf, it is two entirely different sports because of Tiger Woods. He changed and revolutionized the game, and he still has the potential to win more tourneys. Does he catch Jack Nicklaus? I don't know. But it's one of those things that will always be compelling. Tiger Woods setting foot on a golf course has the draw unlike anybody else. Like I think his draw to golf is bigger than your Floyd Mayweather and your Conor McGregors in their respective sports. Bigger draw than Michael Jordan, LeBron James in basketball. Bigger draw than Tom Brady in football. It's close now. What Tom Brady has done for Tampa Bay and the hype that's behind Tampa Bay is close. But Tiger Woods, by far, I think, honestly, I think Tiger Woods has affected the game that much greater and has built it. He's changed the regimen of golf. Mm-hmm. And there's still potential for him to win more tournaments. So the answer is Tiger Woods.
All right, Scottie D, what say you?
Well, I like B-Live's answer because I had declared when we first started doing the show that Tiger Woods was my must-see athlete. And if I would have asked this question 1 year ago, Tiger would have been my answer for the most interesting because he was just coming off that Masters win, and all of a sudden everyone's excited again. Sky's the limit for Tiger. I have a hard time disputing that. I'm going to cross Conor McGregor off the list because the last couple of years he has been more trash talk, more style than substance. You know, had one fight in the last 2 years or something like that, 2-3 years. It's just he's just not getting in there enough, and I think he's starting to lose the audience because if you're not fighting and backing it up, then what good is your rants and tweets that are, just firing everybody up? LeBron is very interesting because he's trying to do it with another franchise, but man, this COVID thing has derailed everything. Tom Brady, to me, is the answer because of, last year they were with this final season of the Patriots. They're 8-0, looking like they're on track. All of a sudden, they lose a very big final game to the Dolphins, game they shouldn't have lost, and then they lose the wild card game or to a wild card team. They lose in the first, their divisional round to the Titans. And then he's out. Now he's with another team, and he brings Gronk in, and now he's going to be facing Drew Brees a couple of times a year. That is all very interesting. Seeing Tom Brady in another uniform on another team trying to get it done at this advanced age, to me, that is more interesting than any of the other things on the list. I'm very interested in Tiger at all times. I'm going to be watching Tiger team up with Peyton Manning against Brady and Phil Mickelson here next weekend, I believe it is. And that to me is very interesting. I may feel differently once we're past this coronavirus and the majors are kicking in again, on Tiger Watch. I just think that right now the whole story from where Tom Brady was a year ago to where he is right now is super, super interesting. And I know that B-Live hates Tom Brady, but that is the correct answer. Eddy Kool, what say you?
He said the correct answer. I love it. All right, so I just by process of elimination. Connor, bye. Like, come on, man. Like you said, you're it's like this. You're not around enough for me to value and love you. So you got to get out of here. So that leaves the interesting trio of LeBron James, Tiger Woods, and Tom Brady. As we all stated, we all think that had this COVID-19 would have not, had a stronghold on sports, I'm going to go ahead and say it. The Lakers would have won it, flat out. The Lakers would have won it. They caught fire at the right time. Everybody was healthy. They were clicking. They were a problem. I mean, people can argue, hey, they're the second best team next to the Bucks because the Bucks was thumping everybody, but the Bucks had a little small snide. But I think the Lakers would have overtaken them. Lakers would have had too much for them. Would have been an issue. Would have been a problem. So that goes down to Tiger Woods. It's always interesting to see what Tiger Woods does because I didn't think he had no more in him, but then he pulls out a major and wins the Masters again. And it's like, oh, I don't know, man. You can never count Tiger out. But consensus, I'm going to have to go with the consensus, is Mr. Tom Edward Patrick Gerald Fitzgerald Brady. I want to see what this guy does. I mean, I'm going to be like everybody else. I want to see, in this case, who needed who. Did Bill need Tom or did Tom need Bill? And now Tom Brady has got his boy, his ace boom coon, if you will, his weapon, Rob Gronkowski there in Tampa Bay. Now all of a sudden Tampa Bay becomes a problem, and then we get to see Tampa Bay and the Saints, Breeze versus Brady. We get to see that twice a year in prime time. So I think the most interesting year of 2020 will have to go to Tom Brady. New team, new quarterback. Who this? Can he produce the same results? Only time will tell. So yeah, Scottie D. Sorry, be live, but Scottie D, I'm gonna have to roll with Tom Brady too.
Don't apologize to me. There's no reason to apologize because everything you just said was silly. First of all, the Lakers. First of all, the Lakers aren't even the best team in their own city. So let's start there. Anyway, the Clippers would have beat the Lakers in a 7-game series. So when you started saying silliness like that, the rest of your point was invalid. So when you start rattling off about Tom Brady, he facing the Saints twice this year in prime time, I don't care. You know who else he also gets to face twice this year?
Teddy Bridgewater.
He gets to. And the Carolina Panthers that he has a losing record to in his career. Did you think about that, sir? Come on, let's go, Tom Brady. Bring it to Charlotte. I want K'Wan Short, Brian Burns, Shaq Thompson. Get them. Let's go. I mean, I'm telling you, Tom Brady, his weapons is great. But they don't match his skill set. I don't think Tom Brady gets the ball down the field enough to really utilize Mike Evans. I really don't.
Well, it'll be very interesting to find out.
It'd be, whatever. Tom freaking Brady. the mess. But we're all entitled to our opinion, even though it's wrong. But yeah, cool. Go ahead, y'all can side up and all right, I'm good.
Like I said, man, I just want to see. It's a classic. You know what? Okay, I'm gonna put it to you like this. All right, in very simplistic terms, look at it as a relationship, a married couple, if you will. All of a sudden, somebody gets tired, don't want to be around no more due to them complaining, whining, moaning, bitching, I'm keeping that in there, or tripping, or one can't make the other happy. This one won't find another job. This one won't do this. This one think they crazy. This one think they a psychopath. So they say after 20 years, the hell with you. So to me, it's the classic case of seeing who actually needed who. That's all. I just want to see who needed who. I think I saw somewhere where they finished 10-6 and get into the playoffs. I think I saw USA predictions with their off wrong predictions. There'll be 3 teams that'll make the playoffs out of the NFC South.
You don't need to mention that part. I don't see because they're leaving one team out, and it's already hurt my heart. Edit that part out of the freaking podcast. 3 teams from the NFC South. Anyway,
that means we got a good division. That's what that means.
Yeah. NFC South is tough, and I'm gonna say this, and I'm done with Tom Brady. I'm actually gonna give Robert Kraft some credit, because this is exactly Robert Kraft and Bill Belichick are treating their personal and professional lives the same. Robert Kraft said, "You know what? I'm going younger. I'm 80 years old and I got a 39-year-old girlfriend. You know what? My girlfriend is younger than my quarterback. I want a younger quarterback. Get him out of here." So Bill Belichick said, "We ain't paying the man. You go somewhere else. We're going to go younger. You've served your time, sir. Tom Brady, get out."
Yeah, I've always wondered what Tom Brady's record is in warm weather cities. because he's playing in a fairly warm division. The NFC
well, it will
South,
be interesting to find out.
It will definitely be interesting to find out what the hell Tom Edward Fitzpatrick Gerald Brady does this upcoming season. Scottie D, what's the question for next week's Choices of the Voices?
All right, well, we're going to kind of go one more time here with this whole thing with the Bulls, since that's been kind of the topic of the early part of the summer. Again, this is going to be a choice. Which team did you feel was more dominant? The 96 Bulls, that's when Jordan first teamed up with Rodman and Pippen. It was the first of the second three-peats, the first year they won. So we'll call it the 96 Bulls or the 85 Chicago Bears. That team only had one loss en route to their Super Bowl. Obviously, the Bulls were the most successful over the long term, but talking about single season, we're talking about a season that the Bulls won 10 regular season games, or lost only 10 regular season games and only 4 postseason, and the Bears had one single loss during that their Super Bowl run season. Which team do you think was more dominant in their respective season? And that's what we're going to talk about next week.
All right.
I'm going to say something real quick. Rodney, I apologize for our co-host, because he used the 85 Bears dominance and didn't use the 72 Dolphins dominance.
Chicago. Try to follow along there.
You should have made more of an emphasis of that.
Okay. It's going to be
the Battle of
teams.
Chicago.
Okay,
the Battle of Chicago teams. Now I get it. I was like, you choose the Bears? Yes, very dominant. Absolutely. I was like, there's been, but yeah, see, now I get it. I'm awake now. I'm here. I'm here. We here now. All right, Eddy Kool.
Hashtag be like, I understand, man. I understand. Be like, hey, they got you working 11,000 hours. You got to get your legs back under you. I fully understand it. And that's the question for next week's Choices of the Voices. Guess what, y'all? We going home. We coming around third base, and we're going to try our best not to fall on our face. You guys know there's Korean baseball being played.
Yeah, 3 o'clock in the morning and 5 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, it's great. Cool.
I can't crack too much, man. I watched New Japan's Wrestle Kingdom, aka the Japan equivalent to WrestleMania, and I woke up at like 3 o'clock in the morning. So I really can't, pass judgment. But hey, if you got the New Japan World Network, you ain't got to worry about that. You can watch it whenever the hell you want to, and you can get your sleep. But that's neither here nor there. Right now, we talking about Pepper. We got 3 topics, rapid fire style, kind of, sort of, not really. Something for you to learn, something for you to enlighten yourself, if you will. You'll just enjoy the damn segment as we enjoy delivering it to you. Scottie D and B Live will do their typical Pepper fashion. They'll talk about the current news and sports. Me, I'll just talk about this day in history with my old ancient ass. No, I'm just joking. All right, and I'll go first. On this day in history, back in 1981, George Rush St. Pierre entered the world. Considering he's one of the best MMA fighters in the history of all mixed martial arts. He was born in Saint Isidore, Quebec, Canada. He is also known by Rush and GSP. He is a for sure Hall of Famer. He's beaten everybody. He's had an illustrious career from 2003 to 2013, and then he came back for one more run in 2017. He is a 2-division champion in the UFC, having winning titles in the welterweight and middleweight division, and he will be inducted into the 2020 UFC Hall of Fame. One time for the MMA legend himself, George GSP Rush St. Pierre.
All right. He is a legend for sure. All right. It was nice this past weekend to see some PGA guys out there hitting the ball around. We had an event that saw Rory McIlroy and Myrtle Beach's Dustin Johnson defeat Ricky Fowler and Matthew Wolff in a skins game. It was great to see some competitive golf, but it really begs the question, who in the hell is Matthew Wolff? Over to you, Be Live.
Yeah, that's a good question. Good
Mike
question.
Jones, who? Mike Jones. I'm sorry, I couldn't help myself.
All right, I'm gonna start off this pepper the way I've been doing the past few weeks. But it's a little twist. It's a little difference. It's no longer esports. It's no longer iRacing. It's the real deal. Woo! Darlington International Speedway. The stripes. It happened. It went down. And Kevin Harvick comes with the victory. Man, oh man. There was a lot of I watched bits and pieces of it. But one thing that really intrigued me was the right into almost the last part of the it's split into 3 segments now with NASCAR and everything. And Jimmy Johnson had a significant lead, and he would have won the first segment, the first leg of the race. And then he clips the back of a car that he was about to lap and spins out and is out of the race at 37th. So Jimmy Johnson, man, that hurt. And then, Rick Hendrick, they weren't doing so well. Hendrick Motorsports wasn't doing so well because William Byron, my dude, that was killing the game in esports with iRacing, he goes out of the race not shortly thereafter with a blown tire, driving the 24. And yeah, it wasn't too well, but Harvick, congrats to the victory. Darlington, coming back to you on Wednesday with another race. Yes, sir. Eddy Kool, the ball.
All right. And this day in history, back in 1991, Willie T. Ribbs becomes the first African-American driver to make the Indianapolis 500. Yes, he tested, he got approved, and he raced, but he didn't win. But still, Willie T. Ribbs made his debut in the Indianapolis 500 for the first time ever. I don't think he never returned it again, but hey, shout out to Willie T. Ribbs for making history. Over to you, Scotty.
Wow, I'm having a hard time catching my breath after all this car race talk that you guys are going through.
I knew it. I knew he was gonna make that comment. I saw that coming a mile away. I said he got something smart to say about auto racing. I felt it in the atmosphere. Go ahead, my bad.
Let you know.
Woo, I felt
all
it.
Right. You know, I was on Monday. I was hearing the report that Big Ben Roethlisberger stoned footballs to teammates, and he cut his hair and he shaved his beard, and that's what it's come to right now during this COVID time. That's news. Be Live, over to you.
Wow. So you give us crap about auto racing.
Yeah.
And your pepper point is a man cutting his beard. Man, you woo. Boy, you reached down deep for that story.
Hey, wait a minute. Here's Scotty D. Well, what can I find? Let's talk about Big Ben.
Scraping the plate. Nice sound.
I have to come up with one more point. Anyway, go ahead.
All right. So here's the thing. I'm throwing an audible. I was going to talk about these 2 silly NFL cornerbacks accused of armed robbery. DeAndre Baker of the New York Giants and Quentin Dunbar of the Seattle Seahawks. But that's not going to be my topic because they're just idiots. Let's go to something that's actually more sufficient to the world of sports. It has been reported that the governors of New York, California, and Texas are ready. They are ready for live sports. Even though without fans, they want professional sports. They're ready. They calling for it. New York Governor Andrew Cuomo says hockey, basketball, baseball, football, whoever can reopen, we are a ready, willing, and able partner. California Governor Gavin Newsom later said that sports could resume without fans in his state as soon as the first week or so in June. Ooh. Texas Governor Greg Abbott says professional sports without fans could resume at the end of May. In addition, he said Little League Baseball can resume play with parents watching under social distancing guidelines. Wow. Hey, fellas, this is happening.
Yeah.
I thought California and New York was going to be one of those hotbeds that's going to cause this to be at a pause or whatever. But hey, because it lies in the hands of the governors. The governors are the ones that are making the decisions on behalf of the state. So when this news comes out, man, it's close. Oh, it's close. I feel it. I feel it in the atmosphere. Eddy Kool, live sports, professional sports. Oh, it's going to make a comeback. The ball.
And pretty soon we won't be scraping for stuff. I promise. We will not be scraping for stuff. We will actually have stuff to talk about.
Hold on. You know what? Wait, real quick.
Okay.
Why do you have a plate right next to you recording?
I had dinner early.
I just thought about it. But hey, do you? All right, cool. My bad. The ball.
I'm the HOC, baby. I make it do what it do. Because Scottie D said something about scraping. I was like, scrape. I got no scrape jokes. Now look, nobody said, oh, I got a bowl. And next thing you know,
sweet.
Still scraping. I got rice crumbs flying all over the floor. But in 1984, Stanley Cup Finals in Northlands Coliseum in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, home of Chris Benoit, Wayne Gretzky scores twice, 1-2, as the Edmonton Oilers beat the New York Islanders 5-2 for a 4-1 series win. And it is the Oilers' first Stanley Cup title. Now, let me give you a little bit of a backstory. The New York Islanders, they've been whipping ass from 1980 to 1983. If I'm not mistaken, they won 4 consecutive Stanley Cups. No one could touch them. And then along came this kid named Wayne Gretzky, and as they said, the rest was history. All right, so let me give you some more stuff. Okay, so Wayne Gretzky led the league that year with 87 goals, 118 assists, and 205 points. On fire. That was the season.
That's insane.
One more time. 87 goals, 118 assists, and 205 points. I don't think no one has got closer to that. I don't think that record anybody got close since then. That's almost impossible. Like he averaged 2.5 points a game. Yeah, 2.5 points.
Yeah, that's crazy. I forgot about that, how dominating he was, and I mean his records are, they're not gonna get they ain't catching them. Sid the Kid, Ovechkin, y'all gonna get close, but Wayne Gretzky, man, yeah,
and they had a team. Their team was loaded at that time. The record was 446, an NHL team record for most goals in a single season. All right, that's a whole lot going on. That Edmonton Oilers team was on fire, and that welcomed the world to Wayne Gretzky, number 99, the great one. It ain't just the name; it's the game as well too. Yeah, so Edmonton Oilers, this day in history, in 1984, won their first ever Stanley Cup.
Was it Mark Messier part of that Edmonton Oilers team?
Yep. Mark. Yeah, let's see. You have Mark Messier, Wayne Gretzky, Paul Coffey, Yari Curry, and Glenn Anderson. And you had Grant Fuhrer at goalie. Grant Fuhrer and Andy Moog at goalie. And dig this here. The goalies, they were badass too. Because Andy Moog played 38 games. He went 27 wins, 8 losses, 1 tie. And let's see, Grant Fuhrer, he went 30 and 10. He went 30, 10, and 4.
Yeah, it's pretty easy when the offense is scoring 17 goals a game.
Well, of course you know.
But no, that's still no. Now, definitely respect to that. Like I said, that team was loaded.
Yeah, fully loaded, man. Fully loaded, man. Everybody's like, the whole damn team's a Hall of Famer. Think about it. But yeah, man, shout out to the Edmonton Oilers who lost to the Carolina Hurricanes some years later.
All right.
Over to you, Scotty.
One more scrape for the Pittsburgh Steelers here, but I saw the story this past week where James Harrison said that in 2010, following a hit on I don't know, some dude whose name I can't pronounce from the Browns, Muhammad Massaquoi. Okay,
Yeah, Muhammad Massaquoi.
We'll call it that guy. That in the locker room following the game, that Mike Tomlin handed him an envelope. He was fined $75,000. I don't know if he was implying that Tomlin had put a hit out. It didn't sound like that. It sounded more like maybe Tomlin was chipping in, maybe got some of the guys in the locker room to throw in and help cover some of that fine. I really don't care because that was in 2010 and it was the Steelers. I'm still scraping. Be Live, over to you.
So, you scraping a lot.
That was news this week. This was in the news. Roethlisberger haircut, James Harrison 2010 story. We need COVID to go away. Be Live, over to you.
Well, just to let you guys know, I have the title for the episode. Here we go. Scrapin Scottie D. Here we go.
Because I figured if you're gonna scrape, at least scrape for your own.
CeeDee Lamb coming to.
All right, let's finish this off real quick. Because I'm gonna put some hot sauce and some pepper on this real quick. Because wow, wait a minute, Jesus, we almost made it through the whole episode. All roads lead to Dabble, but not this time.
I was waiting for it. Wow. So that's the trend. Scottie D, CeeDee Lamb, you Dabble. Got it. Here we go.
So, but yeah, NFL. What in the hell are you doing? So the incentive for teams in the NFL to implement the Rooney Rule, which is to target and at least interview African American or people of color, minorities, into prominent positions in the NFL, they have upped the ante to the point of where if you have a minority as a GM, you get to move up 10 picks in the draft. And if you have a minority head coach, you get to move 6 spots up in the draft. And if you have both, you get to stack them. So you get 16 spots up in the draft. I'm not sure if that's been signed and set into law. I just saw the story about it. I probably should have did a little bit more research before I brought it to this podcast. But I was so infuriated by this. I'm like, what?
See, I can see Mr. Jared Jones hiring some brothers and calling them GM and head coach just to move up and get some picks.
Wow, and they would be by proxy because we all know that Jerry Jones runs the show. But that you know what, Scottie D, I'm now pissed off to a whole nother level because he can absolutely do that.
I mean, it was how Jason Garrett head coach the last 10 years. That was kind of a joke. You can just, hey.
Oh, that wasn't kind of a joke. That was an 8-8
But
joke.
he could just hire Marvin Lewis, say, hey, that guy's title is head coach. And just pay him, and he doesn't even have to show up and just, hey, the Cowboys have Marvin Lewis as a head coach. They're going to get 10 picks up in the draft. I don't know. I mean, it has to be more complicated than that. There has to be a lot more to it than that. But
that's the story that came across, and I said I'm going to look back into it because I'm not sure if it's signed into law, but it was something that I saw that and I said, how backwards are we moving right now? This is just. I mean, I don't get what they're trying to do. I just, oh boy, there's got to be another way. It's got to be NFL # do better.
Yeah, got to do better. And while you guys were talking about pepper, I took a chance to go look at the Edmonton Oilers the following season. Wayne Gretzky, they won the Stanley Cup. They only lost 7 games at home. Wayne Gretzky only had 73 goals, 135 assists, and 208 points. Yeah, that's what he did the following year after setting the league on fire. Yeah, the great one, Wayne Gretzky. All right, and that about wraps it up for another edition of the Sports Bros Podcast and Pepper. But before we go, we need to tell you where you can find us.
Find me on
Scottie
Facebook.
D, where can they find
you? Only, and I'm in Western Pennsylvania, so if you want to see me in person, well, stay 6 feet away, but you have to do it up here in PA.
And if you happen to see Scottie D mowing lawns, help him out. And remember, Scottie D does not use the bag. I wish I could say the same thing, but I got somebody watching me. Be Live, where can they reach you?
Well, Scottie D doesn't use the bag because he has the bag. That's why we call him the money man. But yeah, plug. All right. You can find me in St. Louis. I'm sorry, I had to do it. But and I'm
the home of Jason Tatum, by the way.
But I'm actually upset that I missed the Ludacris Nelly versus battle. I gotta look that up. I missed that this past Saturday. I'm very upset. I gotta find it. But anyway, you can find me at Mac's Speed Shop here in Fayetteville, North Carolina, 482 North McPherson Church Road, where we serve the finest of the burgers and the brisket and the pulled pork and over 180 bottles, cans, draft beer. And we're waiting on the governor of North Carolina to say that we can open to limited capacity. We're waiting. Has not been made official, but we are preparing. Check this out. Until that time, you can also find me here on the Sports Bros Podcast related social media sites. We have our Facebook like page, Sports Bros Podcast. We have our accounts on Instagram and Twitter. On Instagram is Sports Bros Podcast. On Twitter is Sports Bros PCast. You can also find us if you have any questions, comments about the show. Shoot us an email, sportsbrospcast@gmail.com. Check us out on our YouTube page. Check out our website, sportsbrospodcast.wordpress.com. Your boy, the Almighty One, Brian Livingston. That's my name. You want to look me up on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. This be your boy, Be Live. No I at the beginning. THSBEYABOYBLIVE. Did I cover it all? I think I did. Yes, sir.
I'm out of breath. No, you can catch me, Eddy Kool, the head of creative. Pretty soon, I'll be going back to work. Thank you, Jesus, because, thank you, Jesus. You can catch me going back to work pretty soon. Also, you can catch me on Facebook, Eddy Kool, Snapchat, Super Cool 5000, Instagram, Cool Season, all one word, and all of our social media platforms that Be Live has mentioned. All right, and with that being said, thank you for listening to another edition of Sports Bros Podcast. And in closing, do something nice for yourself. And if you can, do something nice for someone else. They'll greatly appreciate it. It's been another episode of the Sports Bros Podcast.
And with Scottie D leaving early, I get to say it myself. Yes, sir.
Feels good.